Channel 1, Channel 2. Channel 1, Channel 2. Channel 1, Channel 2.
Well, that's all the time we have today on Andersen Sports Live.
Brad, whoa, what are you doing? This may be our last show, but we still have to do it.
Honestly, I'm really nervous. This is our last show. I think I probably blacked out just a little bit there.
Well, we got to get it together. We got to give the people what they want.
Okay, you go ahead and start, and I'll follow your lead.
Okay, perfect. So multiple NBA teams were in action over this past weekend as the playoff race continues to heat up. New Orleans shut down Portland 131-123 to win the series 4-0. They will face the winner of Golden State in the San Antonio series. Despite Kevin Durant's 34-point performance, San Antonio was able to come back from a 3-0 deficit to beat Golden State and stay alive in the series. Milwaukee, Washington, and Cleveland all won their games on Sunday to tie up each series 2-2. Starting off, John Wall and the Washington Wizards take on the Toronto Raptors in Washington. Bradley Beal led the Washington Wizards with 31 points, but was fouled out early in the fourth quarter after a scuffle with DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan put up 35 points. But the man of the hour, John Wall, 27 points and 14 assists. He could become the third player in NBA history to put up 25 points plus 10 assists per game in multiple postseasons. Washington is going to survive this one and win 106-98 to tie the series 2-2. Moving on to San Antonio, who hosts Golden State. Manu Ginobili, my man, he had 16 points and went 50% from the field. Kevin Durant led the Warriors with 34 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 assists. And this down here is my favorite. LaMarcus Aldridge doesn't care it's Sunday. The bank is still open. He finished with 22 points on the night. Spurs win 103-90 to cut Warriors' lead to 3-1.
You know, that's really interesting end of that game. You really thought the Warriors were going to sweep the Spurs on that one.
I know, but Manu, he proved that age isn't a number, you know?
I mean, an impressive performance to say the least. They're still alive, but let's go ahead and take a look out in the Eastern Conference at the Bucks-Celtics. Bucks hosting the Celtics at the BMO Bradley Center in Milwaukee. This has really been a great series. 2-1 Celtics coming into this one. At the end of the first, though, Matthew Dellavedova with the steal, the scoop, and the score off the glass to extend Milwaukee's lead late in the first. You know, role players really made this a tight one, but the stars were in full effect this night. Jaylen Brown, 34 points. Jason Tatum, 21. That's the second youngest duo to post a combined 55 points in a playoff game. The youngest, of course, being 2010's version of Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook in OKC. But Chris Middleton and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis, off the miss by Malcolm Brogdon, tips in the layup to take the 104-102 victory. Series tied at 2 apiece. Game 5 tomorrow in Boston. Let's take a look now at the Pacers-Cavs series. Indy up 2-1, looking to take full control of the series. Lance Stevenson causing problems for the Cavs, and mostly LeBron, as Stevenson would draw a tech on LeBron later in the game. The Cavs were up 10 at half and held a 16-point lead at one point, but that quickly evaporated, much like the 17-point comeback win the Pacers had in Game 3. But this game would not turn out the same, although Bogdanovich hits the corner three there, and Thaddeus Young gets the tip in to put the Pacers up late in the game. Too much King James and a three-point barrage by Kyle Korver extended Cleveland's lead, which they would hang on to win 104-100. Game 5 will be in Cleveland at 6 p.m. on TNT. Those were the games from this past weekend, and there will be plenty more playoff action coming our way tonight. The first game on the slate is Houston and Minnesota. Houston is up in the series 2-1, but as powerful as Houston's offense has been, in large part thanks to MVP candidate James Harden, Minnesota will look to use home court advantage to even the series at 2 games apiece.
You know, if my guy Karl Anthony Towns plays at the elite level I know he can play, the Timberwolves will win easy tonight. You know, he's just averaging only 10 points this whole series, and that's down from his regular season total of 21. So if he can play tonight, it's an easy shoe-in for the Timberwolves.
Well, we'll find out tonight. Very good point. That game is going to be at 7 p.m. on TNT. The other contest listed for tonight for your viewing pleasure will be another Western Conference showdown between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Utah Jazz. The Jazz relied on point guard Ricky Rubio's triple-double to beat the Thunder in Game 3. Russell Westbrook, the association's reigning MVP, who averaged a triple-double for the second consecutive season, told reporters Rubio won't have that kind of success again.
Rubio got hot, especially I think from mid-range. I think he started 5 for 5. Just what allowed him to get so hot there? He made some shots. You know, too comfortable. But I'm gonna shut that off next game, though. Guarantee that.
The Thunder face Utah tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT. The 2018 NFL Draft begins on Thursday night, as many top prospects will find out where the future of their NFL careers will start. For a deeper look into the draft, we will toss it up to Chase and the rest of the roundtable.
Thanks, Allie, and welcome to the roundtable. Thursday night, the dreams of 32 players are going to come true on center stage at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. With me to debate this is Grace Harmon and Claire Magsman. Guys, the Cleveland Browns are first on the clock. Who would you pick and why? Grace first.
You know, I think the Cleveland Browns are in kind of a strange situation. A lot of people are saying they need a quarterback, which I know that's kind of where you're going to go. However, I think they just need the best player, and I think the best player right now is Saquon Barkley from Penn State. I mean, his statistics speak for themselves. He had 3,843 rushing yards over 3 seasons at Penn State, but he's a very versatile player. He also had 1,195 receiving yards, and he also had 51 touchdowns in that time span as well. And I think at this point, the Browns are so far rock bottom that they just need somebody who can score and be an immediate help for them, and I think Saquon's that person.
See, you said they're at rock bottom, which I agree with, and they need someone who can help them score, and I think that is Sam Darnold, the quarterback from USC. I mean, 6'3", 221 pounds. He's extremely accurate. I mean, he has a completion percentage of over 60% for his passing. He can buy time in the pocket, which is what they need. He makes downfield plays rather than running, which is perfect for them. I mean, they haven't had a real quarterback in years. I mean, they have Tyrod Taylor right now, but he's not the quarterback for the future. He's not going to lead them to lead their division or go to a championship, which, I mean, I think that would take years for Seinfeld. They need to really build up that team. But I think Sam Darnold could really be a good piece to complete that puzzle because, I mean, Cleveland is a puzzle. Let's be real. But, I mean, they do have new GM John Dorsey, which, I mean, I think that's perfect. Picked Aaron Rodgers, picked Patrick Mahomes from the Chiefs. I mean, he really does a knack for picking quarterbacks, and I think that's exactly what he's going to do in this draft.
But I think you're forgetting a really big, like another component in this kind of
decision.
The fourth pick. You're right. And if they don't pick Saquon in the first overall pick, the Giants are going to take him at number 2.
I agree. I mean, he's going to go.
At this point, they have the opportunity to get a great running back and a great quarterback because, let's be honest, Josh Allen, they have, like, all the rest of the quarterbacks in the draft right now, they would suit the Browns' needs as well. So they could get the best of both worlds. That's how I'm looking at it, to be honest.
The way I look at it myself is there ain't many Saquon Barkleys out there. He's a once-in-a-generation player. There are good quarterbacks. Sam Darnold, I do think, is the top quarterback off the board at some point, but
there's also other options.
Yeah,
I mean, this draft is so running back heavy that there are going to be other running backs. I mean, they could not pick a running back and they could get one in like the 2nd or 3rd round, and they could get a defensive player for the 4th pick. I mean, they really have their options open because, I mean, they need a lot of help, let's be real. So, I mean, what they pick, they're improving their team. But, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I'm kind of excited to see what they do.
All right. Yeah, all right, guys. The second pick in the draft is the New York Giants. Who would you pick and why?
I mean, I think the second pick is just from skill level is going to be Baker Mayfield. He is the only quarterback in the draft right now who competed in the college football playoffs this past year. He was a Heisman Trophy winner, for crying out loud. He is a good player. His career statistics also speak for themselves. 14,607 total yards. However, there could be some things about his attitude. That's my only concern.
Yeah, I mean, he's really a loose cannon, which, I mean, is why some teams aren't really sure about that one. But, I mean, I do agree he is an excellent player, but I would take Saquon Barkley as mine because, I mean, he's great.
All right, well, that's all the time we have up here in this time of the round table. Back down to the anchors.
Thanks to Chase and the crew at the round table. We're going to step away for a quick break, but when we come back, we'll run through the NHL playoffs, the MLB, and an exclusive interview with the former Vice President of Marketing for Nike, Carrie Hoyt-Pack. All this and more on Andersen Sports Live.
The University of Nebraska-Lincoln Sport Clubs offers students the opportunity to compete in sports during their college career. The 33 clubs are run entirely by students and foster growth in life skills through competition ranging from the inter-squad to national level. By joining a sport club, students are sure to create friendships and memories that will last a lifetime. To join a club, visit the sports club website or stop in to the campus rec.
The Nebraska Repertory Theater creates innovative theatrical experiences to ignite the imagination, challenge the heart, promote an inclusive community, and inspire the next generation of theater artists. Shows include the 2004 Tony Award-winning musical Avenue Q, a showcase of future rep actors, directors, and designers. Join us for the first annual Reps Rising Stars. And finally, an adaptation of William Golding's classic novel, The Lord of the Flies. For more information and tickets to upcoming shows, visit www.nebraskarep.org.
For over 28 years, the Lincoln Children's Museum has been creating playtime for thousands of kids and their families. Children can create, discover, and learn through the power of play. The Lincoln Children's Museum also offers several programs and camps throughout the year. Located in the heart of downtown on P Street. Come have fun at the Lincoln Children's Museum.
Back to Andersen Sports Live. 10 teams remain in the NHL playoffs as the battle for the Stanley Cup continues. Colorado, Minnesota, Los Angeles, Anaheim, New Jersey, and Philadelphia all were eliminated on Sunday. 4 NHL teams will be in action tonight as Boston faces Toronto in Game 6 of the series. The Bruins lead 3-2. Columbus looks to stay alive against Washington. The Blue Jackets trail 3-2 in the series.
Baseball is very much in full swing, pun absolutely intended, Allie. We witnessed the first no-hitter of the young season by Oakland Athletics left-hander Sean Manaea. Let's take a look at that game here. Manaea's no-hitter came at the expense of the Boston Red Sox, the hottest team in the majors with a 17-4 record. Manaea pitched the first no-no for the A's since 2010 when Dallas Braden pitched a perfect game. In the 6th inning, though, Red Sox outfielder Andrew Benintendi tried to avoid a tag by first baseman Matt Olson. He would called safe, but umpires took a second look with a replay review, was ruled out, preserving the no-hitter. Manaea threw 108 pitches, striking out 10, walking 2, and used that overturned call on Benintendi to secure the no-hitter. As Oakland won 3-0, the Oakland A's now sit 4th in the AL West at 11-11. And now for something you'll really like. We have our talented field reporter, Katrina Spurl, sitting down for a conversation with Carrie Hoyt-Pack. Katrina, take it away.
Thanks, Brad. I am here with Carrie Hoyt-Pack, and she is currently a business owner of the Liberty Collective and formerly worked with Nike for 25 years. Thanks for joining us.
It's nice to be here. Thank you, Katrina.
So I'm going to kind of do an open-ended question to start with, and that's just, what does your day in the workplace look like for you?
Currently?
Currently and a little bit
in my past
as well.
I'll give you both answers because they're pretty different. So my current day is a day of building and connections and partnerships and listening. So I'm building a business right now and have suddenly become an entrepreneur. So I'm spending a lot of time wearing a lot of hats and trying new things, but mostly writing a business plan and building a brand plan for myself. And after so many years of working in marketing, to then be turning the tables on myself to do that same work is a pretty big challenge, but I'm having a really good time doing it. So that's my day now. Mm-hmm. And then my day in the past, when I worked in marketing and led as a vice president at Nike, was a very full day that didn't, believe me, end at 5. So a lot of meetings. It's important to connect with groups and teams. So I spent a lot of time in meeting rooms, but also listening and driving great connections and engagement and strategy for the projects we were working on, but also with the teams, and a lot of it was leadership. So I did that a lot. A lot of days I was out on the road where I would work with teams, listen to consumers, take those insights back. So there was no typical day, probably, I would say, but always very interesting, dynamic, fast-moving, and a lot of hours. It was a pretty intense job, but one I enjoyed very much.
And throughout your career, what would you say is your favorite experience and why?
It's a tough one because I was so fortunate to work on so many incredible moments. I think when you work in the world of sport, I say anything can happen, and it does, and I was able to connect with a lot of really important moments where we moved the world forward through sport and with some incredible athletes and teams and communities. My very favorite moment, I would say, is helping to launch the Nike Women brand. Being passionate about actually empowering women is something that's really dear to me, and so being able to find my place at a company that I worked for where I didn't grow up as an athlete, you know, but I found a way to really be passionate and inspired by the potential to enable women through sport, and so that was my favorite experience and one that I continue to hold on to today.
And earlier before this interview, you talked about moving to China. Could you tell me a little bit about that, more about that experience and kind of the reasoning why, if it took you a while?
That was my number two, Katrina. That was my second favorite. It's hard to pick one. Yeah, so in 2007, it was right before the Beijing 08 Olympic Games, if you were very young at that point, I think. But you probably remember the opening ceremonies. It was a lot of pageantry. It was a big moment for the country. It was also a big moment for the brand I was working with and for. And so I took sort of a leap and volunteered to move myself and my family to China for 2 years. And so I not only changed cultures, but I also decided to take a bigger role. So I was doing media strategy and planning at that point. That was my career focus. And I jumped to a new country and also took on a bigger expanded role of leading brand communications in total for the company during the Beijing 08 Olympic Games. So that's basically all of the advertising, including digital. And at that time, digital was just starting to erupt in a pretty big country. So that was what I set out to do, and I learned a lot about myself through working in a different culture, but also through having to create sort of breakthrough landmark messaging on behalf of a brand in a country like China, but also for the globe. And it was a great moment, and had some stops and starts, and I had some failures, but I had some incredible successes, and all together it was a pretty amazing experience.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for joining us today.
It's great to be here.
Right. Well, we'll go back to the anchors.
Thanks, Katrina. So, Brad, are you more of a three-stripes guy or a swoosh guy?
I swish from now and again, but three stripes live, especially when I'm lounging.
Okay, I respect that. I respect that. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, our roundtable will discuss two of the hottest issues in sports today. You don't want to miss this.
The historic Haymarket, a beautiful place just west of downtown Lincoln, home of the exciting Pinnacle Bank Arena and a rich history. The Haymarket's history starts shortly after Lincoln's founding, when Lincoln was a busy hub for trains filled with traders and merchants. But now, Lincoln has a new rail yard that's filled with people looking for food, drinks, or fun. The Haymarket is loaded with restaurants and fun for everyone. What are you waiting for? Go visit lincolnhaymarket.org/events to find out what's happening today.
East Campus is for students who want an education outside of the classroom. We have art, agriculture, fashion, food science, law, dentistry, and a lot of trees, all of which are housed just on the corner of 33rd and Holdridge. Grab an ice cream cone at our dairy store or take a stroll through our gardens while you're here. Want to make it legit? Visit us at casnr.unl.edu to reserve a tour soon.
A lot of high school students would ask, why should I go to UNL? Well, why did Johnny Carson, the Tonight Show fan, go to UNL? Why did multi-billionaire businessman Warren Buffett go to UNL? Why did people of such great fame and success go to UNL? Simple, because these are people that wanted to be successful. At the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, you too can begin your own success story. After all, if people like this can achieve national recognition and who came from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, then so can you.
We're back. Thanks for sticking around. Earlier, Chase and his guests ran us through the NFL draft. We're going to head back upstairs for their take on some hot-button issues facing sports and sportsmanship right now.
Welcome back to the Roundtable. I'm alongside Grace and Claire. Guys, this time around, we're going to hit a couple of sports' hottest topics. Back in 2016, California girls basketball team won a game by a score of 161-2. What do you guys think about running up the score?
You know, I think this can kind of go either way, and I think we both definitely have some arguments for and against. But first, I definitely want to start with the reasons for why that this is okay. First of all, if you don't want a team running up the score, then the other team can just stop them. I think that's kind of the biggest one. Next, if you don't have a mercy rule, sometimes it's kind of difficult to like say what constitutes as running up a score and what just constitutes as the game being played. And lastly, like for instance, if a football team is playing their backup players and still scoring, I mean, what are you going to do? Tell them to stop scoring?
I think if football players are playing up their backups and they're still scoring, they should certainly be allowed to score. I mean, they're the second, they're the third string. They're getting practice time. They don't take as many reps as the starting players. And if they score on you, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's your fault.
Exactly. I think, I definitely think it should be allowed in that regard, especially, like, if you said. If
I mean, obviously, people don't want. They have many reasons against the run up the score clock because, I mean, sportsmanship. Obviously, it looks bad. Obviously, the other team is going to get really mad and embarrassed. But, I mean, for the most part, competitive athletes aren't there to be there because they are sportsmanlike but they don't want to humiliate the other team. They're just playing. So, I mean, I think it's a hard issue, but it happens sometimes.
I do think it happens. And like I said, I mean, before, and we both kind of touched on, it definitely can go either way.
Yeah, and you know, the younger levels, they do have one. Baseball especially is the one major ones to think of. Here in Nebraska basketball, you have a 35-point running clock rule in the second half. So I definitely think there's good things for and against, especially at the lower levels. But our second topic we're going to hit is that as professional athletes age, a lot of them still get paid the same or take pay cuts. What do you guys think should happen as athletes age?
I mean, I think it's really hard. I mean, you can pay players as much as you want to pay players, but it needs to be a plan. I mean, they're getting paid based on the service they've rendered to the teams or how many years. So, I mean, Kobe Bryant, he was paid buckets of money. And, I mean, Kobe had a fabulous career, but, I mean, at the end of his career, he obviously wasn't as good as he was in his prime, but he was still making a ton of money. I mean, if you're LeBron James and you're in your 15th year and you're playing as well as you have been playing since you started, he deserves every penny, what he's worth.
I agree with that. And kind of on the flip side of that, if athletes are not if athletes are performing well, they're kind of just being paid what the market has determined their worth. And also, the career of a professional athlete is basically over by the age of 40 anyway. So, I mean, really kind of what's going on as far as that goes. But I think a current example of this is Eli Manning. He is currently during 2017, he was the 9th highest paid athlete at $19.7 million. He got benched a few games before the end of the season. And I mean, if he's not playing well, why is he getting paid that much money?
Exactly. I mean, Tim Duncan took pay cuts when he was at the Spurs. I mean, Dirk Nowitzki is still taking pay cuts now. I mean, he's making way less money than he was years ago. And I mean, I think it really just depends on the player.
Well, you know, you guys mentioned NBA and NFL. I'm going to mention MLB real quick. Bartolo Colon's in his mid-40s. He went late into the game with a no-hitter. So athletes shelf lives are their personal own things. But that's all the time we have up here at the round table. I'm going to send it back down to the anchors.
Great stuff as always from the round table. Allie, do you think athletes should take a pay cut when they get up there in age?
You know, I think it's up to the players, honestly. I'm a Lakers fan, and I would never take a dime away from Kobe Bryant. I mean, the Black Mamba, I miss him so much.
So true. You know, Kobe may be the exception to the rule, kind of like LeBron or MJ, maybe superstars of that nature deserve every paycheck they get. But on a much more serious note, the wife of San Antonio Spurs head coach Greg Popovich, Erin Popovich, passed away last Wednesday after a long battle with a respiratory illness. Pop was not on the sidelines for Game 4, and per CBS Sports, he won't be coaching Game 5 tomorrow night either. Greg Popovich is one of the most respected figures in sports, and he and his family has made the Spurs organization a model for the NBA. Erin and Greg were married over 40 years and have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. Our sympathy to the Popovich family and the entire Spurs organization for their great loss. Rest in peace, Erin.
The University of Nebraska-Lincoln Sport Clubs offers students the opportunity to compete in sports during their college career. The 33 clubs are run entirely by students and foster growth in life skills through competition ranging from the inter-squad to national level. By joining a sport club, students are sure to create friendships and memories that will last a lifetime. To join a club, visit the sports club website or stop in to the campus rec.
The Nebraska Repertory Theater creates innovative theatrical experiences to ignite the imagination, challenge the heart, promote an inclusive community, and inspire the next generation of theater artists. Shows include the 2004 Tony Award-winning musical Avenue Q, a showcase of future rep actors, directors, and designers. Join us for the first annual Reps Rising Stars. And finally, an adaptation of William Golding's classic novel, The Lord of the Flies. For more information and tickets to upcoming shows, visit www.nebraskarep.org.
For over 28 years, the Lincoln Children's Museum has been creating playtime for thousands of kids and their families. Children can create, discover, and learn through the power of play. The Lincoln Children's Museum also offers several programs and camps throughout the year. Located in the heart of downtown on P Street. Come have fun at the Lincoln Children's Museum.
Welcome back to Andersen Sports Live. Over the course of our show, we've had to pronounce a variety of unique athlete names. So we decided it was best to send our friend Gabe out on the street to give our audience a try.
Oh, it's here. Hey, Allie, thanks. I'm Gabriel Vegas, and we know it's easy when you say it off the prompter, those sports names, but it's not really. That's why I'm here at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln campus to talk to some students and challenge them to say the most difficult names in sports. All right, we're here with Lydia, our sports expert, knows everything about the NBA, baseball, and everything. Lydia, the first name is this one. Go ahead.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay, coming to you live from the Union, we got Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That's Coach K, but it's Mike Krzyzewski. I don't know how to say it. Coach K.
Coach K is the perfect way to pronounce it.
Mike Krasinski. Krasinski?
Mike Krzyzewski.
Socrates. Papathadamanopolis.
Socrates?
Go ahead, you got it, Caitlin.
I don't. There's too many syllables in that.
That's the struggle we go through, guys. That's the struggle we go through.
Niemanja Bijaluka.
Nemanja. Bielika.
All good.
Is it Araik Ogun Bowale?
Enrique Agunbowale.
Yeah, that was perfect.
We're going to send it back to you guys right there, coming to you live from the Union with my guy Gabe. Man, y'all have a great day. Blessed day. Blessings up, man.
Thanks to @_Foulet who tossed it back to us. Check out his beats on SoundCloud. Allie, that was one of the more fun segments that we've had a chance to do on this show, and I think it's a pretty good one to end on.
Yeah. You know, Brad, we've come a long way since our first show, and I'm really sad to see it end. We've had the pleasure of working with some wonderful, talented people. In no particular order: Chase Thompson, Gabe Vegas, Jack Crumley, Grace Harmon, Katrina Spurl,
as well as Colby Becker, Silas Brown, Claire Magsman, and of course our fearless leader, Jerry Renault. Allie, this has been so fun. I'm lucky to have worked with you and learned from you over the course of doing this show.
Same to you, Brad. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing the last show with anyone else. Well, that's all we have for today on Andersen Sports Live. For Brad Hilligoss, I'm Allie Snow.